Hi everybody, Lori here for Simon Says Stamp. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited to be a part of the 5 Ways in 5 Days holiday series. My topic today is 5 ways to create Christmas ornaments and decor. So we're going to kick it off with a little tabletop decor. We're going to make a little Christmas tree. I have the trees and stars die set. I'm going to use that large triangle tree die. If you have triangles, it would work. Also, this one here, the Fresh Air Holiday Tree, it has a tree in it, and it's more of like a, what do you call it? Like a billowy, pillowy, puffy, you know what I'm saying? It's a different shape of tree. I chose to go with the stark triangular tree. Any kind will work. You're just going to need a tree die cut. And then you're just going to die cut the wazoo out of it with a bunch of solid color cardstock. So the tree I'm making is going to be all different shades of green. You could definitely switch it up, pattern paper, different colors, teal, aqua, reds. And then after you die cut all the triangles or all the trees, you're going to score it down the middle. So I just kind of line up my scoreboard with a point, the point on the end, and that's how I know I'm at the middle. It doesn't really matter where you're at on the scoreboard. I'm using an Altenew scoreboard, which I love, and a Teflon bone folder, which is one of my most favorite craft tools around, a Teflon bone folder. So score those trees in half, and then you're going to pre-fold them all, and you're going to use that Teflon bone folder to reinforce the fold. You want a nice fold. Again, you could customize it, pattern paper, metallic cardstock, vellum, glitter, do all the things. You know what? I didn't really even count how many trees I have. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I had 10. And you know what? Didn't even know that. It really doesn't matter. You just want to make sure you have enough. And I'll show you later as we get going. You just need enough to fit around your stick. And you can make it as many or as little. So if you want to make it really, really full, add more triangle die cuts. You know, it's really up to you how you want to customize this. Okay, so I glued all 10 together. I'm holding that down. I actually pulled out my trusty old 5-pound weight, set it on there for a good couple minutes just to make sure that all those pieces were stuck together. Okay, so that's 10 die cuts glued together, and it gives you all those fun shades of green, which I love. By the way, as far as cardstock, I use a mixture. Oh, but let's talk about the tree base. I have these little wood rounds. I bought them at Hobby Lobby. And then the rod, I believe that also came from Hobby Lobby. My hubby used a drill and drilled a hole in the middle of the round. He cut the rod 3 different sizes because I was going to make 3 different sizes of trees, which you could easily do if you just cut that triangle a little bit shorter. You could make a shorter tree. Okay, I'm realizing here that my 10, it's not enough to fit around that rod. So I went ahead and die cut 10 more. Might have been too many, but I just did 10. And so now I have 2, 10 on one side, 10 on the other. So 20 in all. But you know, I think my rod is a little bit thick. If you used one of those skewers, like a shish kebab skewer, you probably wouldn't need as many die cuts to fit around your tree. You really just kind of have to do trial and error to see what fits with the kind of rod you're using for your tree trunk, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm gluing all these pieces together, and then now to secure the seam, I chose to pull out some terrific tape. You could use glue too, either one. But I just wanted to use tape so you could get a good, quick adhesion. Sometimes with glue, you really need to pinch it and hold it. But with a terrific tape, instant adhesion. Is that the right word? Adhesion? Okay, so I glued that around the rod, and I'm just kind of working in the folds, trying to make it nice and even. And there you have a quick and easy and simple little cardstock Christmas tree. Now to just set it right over the edge, I have the 5 stars die. I chose one kind of the, not the smallest star, not the largest, kind of the medium star, die cut it out of yellow, and I'm just going to tuck it right in the top. You could also do like some gold glitter cardstock for a glitter star. A lot of different ways you can customize that. And there you have, really cute. And I would like to do 3 different sizes. And I might do the other ones out of some different colors, like maybe one tree all reds and oranges and yellow, one tree kind of teal, maybe purple. Bring it all in. But here's one to show you, kicking off the first tabletop decor. Now we're going to make a little gift card tag, or a tag that's like a pocket. And I am using the Winter Mitten die set, and it has this really cute sweater detail die. You could customize the mitten. If you just want to make it a solid, use the solid here. I'm doing it out of white cardstock. And then the little cuff I did out of white glitter cardstock. And then the sweater mitten detail one I did out of some lipstick red, which is Simon Says Stamp solid color cardstock. So there you have the base. I'm going to do 2 of these, and they're going to be like a mirror. So for one mitten, I'm actually going to have to glue the back side together. You'll see as I go along. But here I'm just using, by the way, Bearly Arts liquid glue. You could use tape runner or whatever type of adhesive tickles your fancy. Then just popping on that little white glitter mitten cuff down at the bottom. Now for the second die cut, this is where you kind of got to pay attention. So like I said, we want to make a little pocket with our mitten tag. So we're actually going to flip the die cut over and glue the flip side. So we want this to be like a mirror of the other. See how it like fits together like that? So it's a little bit reverse. Now, if your die cutting machine is like mine, very, very well loved, sometimes when you do stuff like this, the back side of your die cut can look a little scratchy. Well, what I usually do if I'm doing something like this is when I die cut, I put a piece of scrap cardstock underneath, and it kind of protects it and makes your flip side look a little smoother. Okay, so I'm just kind of lining these 2 up so that my cuffs line up perfectly. Just gluing this down again with liquid glue, lining up that white glittered cuff, and there you have the mirror image of your winter mitten. See that? Opens up like a book. Now to adhere these 2 together, I'm just using some foam adhesive strips. I want to have a little bit of dimension so that it gives you room to put something inside of it. But yeah, so I just put a little bit on each side of the cuff. I'm not going to glue the entire thing, just a little bit on the cuff and a little bit down along where the fingers would go. I figure whatever you're putting in this little pocket, it's probably going to be secure enough with this amount of adhesive. Okay, so line this up and then press them together. Okay, so now before I go any further, I took out a little hole punch, and I'm going to punch a hole in the top of my mitten cuff. That way I can thread some twine to turn it into a little tag. And this way you could hang it on the tree, you could hang it on a gift. You don't have to add the hole and twine. It's just another option I'm showing. So I like to put the knot down in behind, kind of hides it. And then now a little extra zhuzhing. The arching spruce sprig die. I'm die cutting that into some Hero Arts pesto cardstock, and I'm going to cut just a few individual sprigs, and I'm going to just zhuzh up this little mitten. You don't have to do it, but I felt like it really made it special. So I'm putting a little bit of glue on the end of those individual sprigs and just kind of tucking them right into where that twine is tied. And then I'm going to cover all of this with a cute little white glittered bow. So this is an oldie but a goodie, very old die, one of my favorites, the perfect bow die. It's just a great size for paper crafting, and I'm going to die cut it into some of that white glittered cardstock. So it's 3 pieces to create the bow. It's very simple and easy to put together. Take it off camera, run it through my die cutting machine, and then now to adhere the bow, I find the best way to do it is with that Terrific tape. I've tried to do this with liquid glue, and I never have very good results. The Terrific tape, like I said before, gives you that instant, strong adhesive that you need to hold these bended little bow thingamajiggies together. And then I use both sides of the sizes of the Terrific tape. For that bow part, I use the 1/8 inch, and then for this little piece that wraps around it, I use the 1/4 inch. So it's really handy to have both sizes. Just wrap that around and then pop it on the ribbon tails. Again, a little piece of that Terrific tape on the top of the bow tails. Pop on the bow. And I love to use those reverse tweezers. They're so handy when you're holding things down that have been glued and they just need a tight hold. Put down a 3D foam square to pop on my white glitter bow. It kind of hides the twine and the glued sprig, so now everything looks neat and tidy. And look at how cute this little winter mitten gift tag. Now I want to show you what you can pop in. A little gift card just kind of slides right in, just like so. Now if you don't want to do a gift card, you want to do some cold hard cash, you can fold that up and tuck it in. I mean, who doesn't love a little cash? I know teenagers love cash. Now hey, if you got a sweet tooth, how about a little peppermint bark? A little bit of Ghirardelli peppermint bark slips in like it was meant to be. I'll tell you what, and look at the little peppermint stripes on the candy. Just kind of coordinates there. So a lot of different things you can tuck in. You just got to rummage around and see what can fit. So this is like a 2-for-1. Not only is it decor, because it would make an adorable ornament for the Christmas tree, but it's also a gift card holder, and it can hold candy, and it can hold cold, hard cash. So that's project number 2. Next, we're moving on to project number 3. This one here I've been dying to try. I have a bunch of these ideas saved on my Pinterest, and it's making a kind of an accordion ornament. So I used one of the nested circle dies, and I pulled out a slew of solid color cardstock. Most of this cardstock is Concord 9th, some of my favorite, and I like that it's a little bit thinner cardstock. It's not like 110 pound. I think it's 80 pound, so it works well for this type of project, but any cardstock would work. Also pattern paper, and you could customize the color. You can also customize the size. My circle is 3.5 inches wide. I was finding the halfway mark. I made a little tick mark so I could remember, which is 1 3/4. So now I just go to 1 3/4 on that scoreboard every time, and I score the circle in half. So I just butt it up and score at 1 3/4. But if you're customizing the size, maybe you want to make them smaller, you just figure out that halfway mark and then you do each one the same. You could definitely make them larger. You can also do different shapes. If you don't want to use a circle die cut, you can do a star die cut. If you have an ornament die cut, like a fancy shaped ornament, you could do the same exact technique with any shape. You just need to die cut a bunch, whatever colors, pattern paper, what have you. Score them in half and fold them, and then you're going to glue them. This is basically the same thing I did with that Christmas tree tabletop decor thing I made at the beginning of the video. We're going to glue all the halvesies together. So I line them up, you know, in rainbow order. And I got to tell you, this is probably my favorite one out of the whole video. And you know why? It's because of the color. It just makes me get out of bed in the morning. Again, I'm using Bearly Arts liquid glue. Any type of adhesive will work. You just want it to be strong to hold all these things together. Every time I line it up, and then I just kind of make sure that it's pressed down good. That 5-pound weight comes in really handy to really weight it down and give it a couple minutes. Now we're going to make a little loop-de-doo so that you could hang this on a tree. And I'm using this, by the way, on all the projects that I use twine. It's this metallic silver and white twine. They sell it at Simon Says Stamp, and I love it. I love that it comes on that adorable little wooden spool. I'm also using the little mini Positively, what are they called? Positively Everything little detail scissors, and the retractable tweezers, all Simon Says Stamp, and I love them all. Handy dandy tools. So now I'm gluing both the ends together right around that twine, the knots coming out the end. You could, if you wanted on the end, add a little bead, or you know, if you want to zhuzh that up some more, could have done that, but I didn't want to go down in the basement and search for my beads, because I'll tell you what, my organization is a big old hot mess. Okay, so I'm just kind of evening out all these folds, and then I'm just adoring this colorful ornament. I gotta show you the spin, because when it spins, it just brings the joy. And you know who else is feeling the joy? You want to know who else is feeling the joy? Hank the Tank. I'll show you. Look, he is feeling the joy. Can you tell? This is where he's at every day when I'm crafting, right there. He just likes to lay by mama because I might drop a treat here and there. Okay, so that's project number 3. And now we're going to do number 4, which is a little wreath. So again, I pulled out the nested circle dies and I took the 2 largest ones. I'm not even sure the size of these. I just know they're the 2 largest nested circle dies. And I'm die cutting them into some, well, it's kind of like a light tan, maybe craft. This part really doesn't matter. This is going to be kind of the base of the wreath. And I die cut 2 to glue them together to make it a little bit more sturdy. I think you can buy little wreath forms made out of wood or wire. You could buy those probably at Hobby Lobby or whatever craft store. But if you don't have that and you don't want to go to the store, you can make one out of cardstock. Okay, going to use a couple different die sets. I went rummaging through trying to find different leaves to make my wreath. So I have the Bountiful Berries, the Abundant Leaves die sets. I chose these 2 because they have just nice full leaves on them. And that's all I'm going to use, just popping out. Now, the Abundant Leaves have some nice texture, and then the Bountiful Berries is just a solid. And I went to town. I die cut several different shades of green and dipped into the teals. This is a mixture of Simon Says Stamp cardstock and a little bit of Concord 9th, and I just like to mix and match them. So I'm going to do just kind of a halvesy wreath. I was tempted to go full, and it would be fun if you did a full rainbow wreath. That would bring the joy. But I'm trying to keep this a little bit simple for time. I don't want my video to be an hour and a half long. So I chose to do a halvesy wreath. Sometimes a little halvesy wreath seems like sophisticated. You know what I mean? A little bit restraint, less is more. But you know what? Every once in a while, more is more. You can do more is more, you can do less is more. You live your life. You live your best wreath-loving life. So you could customize the colors on this. Again, pattern paper. You could make this fallish colors. You could do one of these at Easter time with like pastels. You could do all the colors of the rainbow. I'm going to add a little word die. The Monoline Merry Christmas. Going to do it out of some metallic matte gold and vellum. And I'm going to glue these together. Now, you don't normally have to put a sentiment on a wreath, but I thought, hey, why not? And since I had to pop out all the innards of my die cut, I pulled out this new Positively Perfect craft pad with that place and pierce wand, which just works like a charm, popping out all those things. Make sure you don't lose the tittle, because there's a tittle in Christmas, and I have it secured, don't you worry. So I'm gluing down that matte gold Mary onto the vellum, and then last but not least, the teeny weeny little tittle on Christmas. And then now I'm going to add a little of that silver twine. If you want to hang it, you could hang it on a door. You could hang it on a mantle. You could just hang it on a mirror. That would be pretty. And it's small too. It's not too large that it's like kind of overwhelming, but it would be a nice little gift for someone too. And okay, so trimming off that little bit of extra twine, and then I add a little sliver of foam tape strategically behind the die cut so you don't see it. And I'm just going to kind of pop it right there at the top. I'm not sure if that's the best placement, but I went with it. Now, because I couldn't resist some of these new gumdrop confetti sequins, just popping a few of those on here and there. Did you notice how I knocked over my embellishment tray? Do you want to know how often I knock over my embellishment tray? Every time. The embellishment tray is supposed to make it easy, but I knock it over every time and I spill them. That's neither here nor there. Let's just bask in the beauty of this paper crafted wreath for Merry Christmas. Okay, last but not least, how about a little garland? You ever just need a little garland in your life? You can do garland any time of the year. It doesn't have to be reserved only for Christmas. But this one is going to be a little winter snazzy themed. Okay, so I have the nested star dies. I'm using the 3 smallest ones. And then this snowflake burst die. I'm going to use a mixture of these 4 dies. So for the snowflake, I'm going to die cut 3 just out of white cardstock, keeping the snowflake simple and white. You could definitely add glitter or do glittered cardstock. Here for the stars, I'm using a little glitter gold cardstock, 2 different shades of yellow. And then I just, after this point, and you know, I was on the 5th project, I just started die cutting all kinds of colors. Look at this luxe glitter cardstock. This is very fancy shamancy. So I did a couple stars out of that. Did a couple reds and pinks and other colors of glittered cardstock. Again, this is the same concept that we did for the ornament and for the tree. I'm scoring them down the middle, and I'm going to adhere 3 together, kind of like an accordion star dangling on a garland. Okay, so I went ahead off camera and I scored all of the stars at the halfway mark, and then I reinforced the fold with my Teflon bone folder. I'm using the Bearly Arts glue to glue all the halvesies together. I did not score the snowflakes, by the way. Those are not getting folded. Only the stars are getting folded, scored, and glued together. And look at that kind of accordion star. You could add more if you want to add more folds, but there's all of them put together. And then now I'm just going to put them on a strand. And I was thinking, how do I adhere these onto this twine? Again, I think every project is using that silver metallic and white twine. So I went ahead and die cut an extra white star, and this is just going to be used as a backer. This goes behind the twine like that, and it's covered in glue. And then I take my accordion star and I sandwich the twine. That was the best idea I could come up with. I even thought about stapling these or using a little clothespin. A lot of different ways you could do it. This is just the one that I kind of landed on. So again, glued down the white star, sandwiched the twine with the accordion glittery star. And then I did glue on, I wasn't sure if this was going to work, but I put a dot of glue on the twine and pressed down the snowflake die cut. If you hold it and give it some time, she'll hold. Now I put it on my mantle, which is not ready for Christmas. It's ready for fall and Thanksgiving. So we got a mixture of seasons going on here, but it's okay. You get the idea. Look at how fun that is. That is a little DIY paper crafted, handmade from the heart, holiday garland coming at you. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe it inspired you to make 1 or 2 or 5 of these projects for your holidays. Make sure and check out the rest of the 5 Ways and 5 Days holiday series with Simon Says Stamp. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.